On today's episode, we're going to make an Italian classic, old world favorite, and one of my family's favorite recipes, eggplant parmesan. Let me show you how to make it, guys. Let's go. Eggplant parmesan is a very delicate dish, and to me it's the Italian comfort food, using little to no ingredients at all. Before we get going in today's video, let's go over the ingredients. Extra virgin olive oil, all-purpose flour and eggs, breadcrumbs, chef threads, Sunday tradition signature red sauce, fresh mozzarella, fresh pecorino, and of course, eggplant. Let's begin by prepping our eggplant. And now when I do my eggplant, I like to remove the skin off of it. There's a lot of recipes, there's some recipes that include the skin on there. However, I like to take the skin off of it. I feel like the skin can sometimes be a little bit chewy, on the chewy side, and it could, cause a different flavor that you're looking for. So I like to remove it. And by removing it, simply just peel off the green that we just saw there, peel off the head, and then just slowly go down and you remove the outer layer with the potato peeler. So when it comes to cutting our eggplant, there's multiple different ways you can cut it. However, I've done both, but my family, we've always done this way, we've always preferred this way, and it's to cut our eggplant in little circles, all about the width or the thickness of a nickel, we'll say. Now, I have done it other ways as well, and the other way is to do it long ways. You would cut it like this way. And what that does is that creates where when you go to build your eggplant parmesan, it's almost like you're building a lasagna. So, however, we like to do this way, and then you're gonna see when we go to layer it into the pan, they're gonna be just, shingled. Each one's gonna be shingled. So if you're not aware, eggplant holds a lot of moisture. So this part is extremely crucial in the cooking process, and I like to always do this. Get yourself a piece of paper towel. Lay your paper towel down, and we're gonna lay out our eggplant onto the paper towel. No rhyme or reason of which way to do it. Just lay them out. That way the faces are showing. And then we're going to hit these with some salt, coarse salt. And what the salt's gonna do is, these eggplants are kind of like sponges, so they're gonna hold the water. And when you go to hit them with some salt, it's going to draw out. It's gonna draw out the salt. We've salted these. We're going to give these a little bit of time to rest, so 15 to 20 minutes. Let the salt pull out the water, and then we'll put these off to the side. Let's get our breading station ready to go. Okay, for our breading station, all we're going to do is some all-purpose flour, always season your flour. So we're going to go in just with some salt, and a little bit of cracked black pepper. I have 4 eggs here. And then our breadcrumbs. Now, typically when it comes to breadcrumbs, I like to use a breadcrumb that is plain and I add in my seasonings. However, this brand here, the Virgo, they have phenomenal breadcrumbs and it's already seasoned for you, so it takes out the hard work. So we're going to use those today. And when I use bread, when I'm breading stuff and I'm using breadcrumbs, I like to use a square pan or something that's have a bigger, not a bowl, somewhat like of a pan. That way you have more room to work in with breading. So let's go ahead and give our flour a mix. Get all of our seasonings mixed up in there. And then go ahead and start whipping up your eggs as well. Okay, so it's been about 15 minutes since we poured our salt on there, and you can see the water pooling out of the eggplant, and that's what we're trying to achieve there. Now that we have let them sit for a while, about 15 to 20 minutes, now we need to wash the salt off of them. That way the dish is not overly salted. Just to show you how much moisture eggplant holds, this is the paper towel we first put down before we started laying the eggplant out. After rinsing our eggplant, now we have to get them dried off. So what I'm doing is I'm using the same exact pan as we did, a fresh sheet of paper towel. And you're gonna do the same process as we did when it came to salting them. Just simply shingle them out again so that most of the faces are showing. Then we're going to add another sheet of paper towel and just lightly press on them. So basically what this process is doing is when we go to salt them, it's pulling out the moisture. Then we're going to rinse them. Now we're drying them. We're making the eggplant very tender. That way when we go to bake it, and all of the sauce and the cheeses that we're going to use after we bread them, this dish becomes very, very soft and velvety texture. And that's what makes it so good. So this process may be a little tedious, what we're doing right now, but this is a very important process. This is what really going to highlight your eggplant dish. You know, there's some family members in my family that don't like eggplant parmesan. However, they love this eggplant parmesan because of the texture. All right, I went ahead and set up our breading station, and now that our eggplant are fairly dry for the most part, I'm going to go ahead and start the breading process. I'm going to show you how to do it. And I like to have I've said this in my videos many times before, I like to have one wet hand, one dry hand. I'm right-handed, so for me, my left hand is my wet hand, and my right hand is my dry hand. And why I do that is because I see all the time you get your hand just clumped up with flour and egg and breadcrumb. This is a good tip to have. You'll blow through the breading process. So for me, here I did my flour, egg, and then now I'm going to switch to my right hand, and this will be the breading. So now when I go to touch the breading, I have a dry hand, and I'm not getting all gunked up. So I'm going to take the liberty and not show you the whole process of me breading this. So I'll get all these breaded up, and I'll see you in about a minute. I told you it wouldn't take that long to get these breaded up. Now we're going to go ahead and fry them. So what I like to use when we go to fry, I like to use a neutral oil, whether it be vegetable oil, salad oil, and I also like to use, obviously, the Holy Trinity, extra virgin olive oil. So I'm going to cut this oil. We're going to cut it with half and half neutral, and half extra virgin olive oil. I have our burner on a medium heat. Let the oil come up to temperature on its own. Don't try to force it, because you don't want the oil to be too hot. Then you go to put your eggplant in there, it's going to burn the breadcrumbs. So a good tip to know in the kitchen is if you're wondering when's my oil going to be ready to go? Good tip, get a wooden spoon, dip the butt end into the oil, and just hold it there for a few seconds. When you see it start to bubble, as it is right now, that means your oil is up to temperature and ready to go. All right, now that our oil is ready to go, I want to put a piece of paper towel down on our pan, because this is going to catch all of the grease that comes off of our fried eggplant. So just one at a time, take your time. Always away from you, always put the eggplant or whatever you're frying, chicken cutlets, whatever, away from you. You never want that oil to come back and splash at you. Just like that. You don't got to cook them all the way through. We're just trying to get them golden brown. We're going to finish this process in the oven. So a few seconds on each side, and then we'll give them a flip, put them on our pan with the paper towel, and just keep on moving this process until they're all fried. All right, we got all of our eggplant fried up here. Before I start building our eggplant parmesan, I have some fresh mozzarella here. And with the fresh mozz, I typically like to get a whole loaf or a whole ball. However, the grocery store that I was at today, they did not have the loaf or the ball that was uncut. So this is already sliced. If you prefer that, by all means, go ahead. I prefer to be not sliced because I like to make them my own size. So, which is fine. We're still going to use this, and I'm going to show you how I do it if you have a piece that's already sliced up like this. So it's already sliced and ready to go. But I like them, see how they're too thick. I like them to be a lot thinner. So I will show you how I do that. Since ours is sliced up, I want to cut these into almost like little bite-sized cubes. So just take a couple slices here, cut them into strips, and then run the blade the other direction. So that way you have little tiny cubes to work with, and that's going to go on top of our eggplant and melt. It's going to be beautiful on there. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up cutting this whole log here, and then we can start building our eggplant parmesan. Now that we have all the components to start building our eggplant parmesan, I'm going to start with our red sauce. Sunday Tradition is my red sauce, signature red sauce that I've been making for years. However, you can use any red sauce that you'd like. If you have a homemade red sauce that your family has, by all means use that. If there's a sauce that you have in the grocery store that you like to buy, use that. If you want to learn how to make red sauce, you can follow our Instagram page on chef_threads or on Facebook, Chef Threads Clothing. And there is a video on there that shows me, not the full recipe because I am Italian, I can't give you my full recipe. However, you can get a little bit in most ingredients that I put in this sauce. So the way I like to start is obviously putting red sauce on the bottom of our casserole dish. And then what you're going to do is slide this around a little bit. I want to get everything in there. How we're going to do this, we're going to shingle our eggplant all the way around, and then we're going to add in our fresh mozzarella. I also have some pecorino. This is left over in the fridge. I would like to use Parmesan. I mean, it is called eggplant Parmesan for a reason. I like to use Parmesan, but Pecorino is just as good. So we're gonna use that, we're gonna grate that on top, mozzarella, and then repeat that process until all of the eggplant is used up. Almost kind of like a scalloped potato. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you the process of how this goes. Let's go ahead and put a piece of tin foil on our casserole dish here. And we're gonna pop this into the oven at 350 degrees for anywhere between half an hour to 40 minutes. The sauce is cold. That's why we are putting it in there for quite a long time, half an hour. The sauce that we put in there was cold, and that needs to come up to temperature, as well as everything, cheese and everything else to melt. All right, our eggplant Parmesan, this was in there for 45 minutes. Let's pop this out, see what we got going on in here. And look at that. That is beautiful. Let's go ahead and get this sliced up. That cheesy goodness. Now that, my friends, is an eggplant Parmesan. I hope you guys enjoyed this recipe. If you did, please give it a like. If you have any questions, please leave in the comments down below. And as always, guys, thank you for watching, and don't forget to threads.